This is one of the best carry-on setups I've used in a long time, especially when it comes to airline compliance, weight limits, and just overall versatility. This is the 21-inch carry-on from the brand Bric from their X collection. Now, this carry-on has shown up in some of my previous videos I've done if you've watched those. I purchased it a couple of years ago in navy, and I've now used it on several trips. I've taken it through some countries in Europe, also to Mexico, and throughout North America. Now that I've used it quite a bit, I thought it was finally time to tell you about it and make an actual video. And I've actually lent this out to some friends and family because it's such an all-purpose carry-on. And since I do prefer black luggage, I decided to get myself the one in black, but it was also because I realized there's a matching tote bag to go with it. And together, this is one of my new carry-on setup obsessions. Besides the fact that I do love a matching set, there are some great features to this whole package that are pretty hard to beat, so let's talk about it. And a quick note before we get into it, this isn't sponsored. In fact, Bric doesn't know I'm making this video. I just genuinely like this set and I've personally used it myself, so I thought some of you might like it too. And if you do, you can find the link to this whole package down in the video description or in the first comment. All right, so there are three main reasons why I think this is such a perfect carry-on setup. First, we've got the roller carry-on itself. Compared to other soft-sided carry-ons that are of the same size and durability and quality, this is considered pretty lightweight, coming in at only 5.5 pounds or 2.5 kilograms. Most comparable bags are closer to 7 or 8 or even 9 pounds, so this one weighs significantly less. If you need something even lighter, I do have another option which I'll touch on later in the video. But beyond being lightweight, this is a carry-on that fits on a lot of airlines, including many international airlines and those that are known to have pretty tight dimensions, such as Air France. And that's because it measures 21 by 13 by 9 inches, or to be more accurate, 53 by 33 by 22 centimeters. And according to my carry-on compliance checker, it fits on 84% of airlines. You can get my carry-on compliance checker for free. Just check the link in the description. You don't need an email to sign up for it or anything. But even for the airlines where it technically doesn't fit, it's probably only 2 or 3 centimeters too big on one of the measurements. And in my experience, that's probably within the limit to fit. Let's take Iceland Air, for example. I've been getting a lot of requests for that one. Their carry-on allowance is 55 by 40 by 20 centimeters. This one is 53 by 33 by 22 centimeters. So it's within both height and width allowance, but the depth is over by 2 or 3 centimeters. With this bag being soft, as long as it's not completely overstuffed, you will likely be just fine. Especially since most of the Iceland Air bag sizers I can find are of this style of box, so as long as it fits, it's good to go. That's why in this case, depth allows you the most wiggle room since you can squish it in, especially because it's soft. And I've also tested this on several other airlines, including in their baggage sizers, such as TAP Air Portugal and Easyjet. They have a more standard sizer. Their allowance is 56 by 45 by 25, which is also the same size as British Airways, and this bag fits perfectly. And of course, I've taken this throughout North America, and this bag is going to fit on most airlines within the US and Canada. The next reason why this setup is the best is because you can get the matching tote, which can be used as a personal item. But it plays double duty because I think it's nice enough that you can then use this bag on your trip. You can use it as a tote to carry larger items when you're out sightseeing. Maybe you're planning to do some shopping or visiting markets. And I actually recently used this as my pool and my beach bag on my trip to Mexico. So this was my personal item that I stowed under the seat, and then I used it to go down to the pool and to the beach. I think it could also be used for business trips as well. So you don't have to pack an extra bag with you. This is double duty. It's also a great personal item because it's got a full zipper closure and it's made from water-resistant nylon, so it's easy to wipe down and keep clean. I also like that it's thin and relatively unstructured, so this is going to be able to pass as a personal item on many airlines. Because of that, there are no internal compartments, it's just one big open bag. But I know a lot of people sometimes prefer that, especially because it gives you a lot more freedom to pack it and organize it how you want. And I find a lot of personal item bags are either too floppy or too structured, and I feel like this one sits nicely in the middle. And finally, the third element of this setup is such a small detail, but I think it's so smart. On the inside of the tote bag, there's an inner zippered pocket that's actually detachable, and it comes with a matching shoulder strap. So then it can be transformed into an additional mini crossbody bag to keep all of your essentials close to you. I always talk about this idea of having that smaller third bag to use when you're in the airport, something small with a zipper to keep your phone and your wallet and your passport safe. But of course, prior to boarding the plane, you have to consolidate it into your personal item bag so that you're only bringing 2 bags on board. But this mini bag then just snaps inside of the tote bag, and now you've got an interior zippered pocket. So those are my thoughts about the main 3 reasons why I just love this setup and this package so much. So now I want to talk about a few more elements of this bag. As far as structure, this bag is pretty good. It's got the hard back, and then the sides are pretty rigid as well, but there's definitely some give to them. And then of course, the front is just soft. And when it comes to soft side bags, some people are worried that the top will sag when you put a personal item on top, but there's actually a plastic piece that is part of the frame that goes all the way across the top. So that prevents a personal bag from making the bag sag inwards. And if you've watched my videos before, you know I prefer a top open design. I think it's just because of the way I pack and visualize things, it just works out better for me. And so I always recommend people get a top open when they're struggling to fit in as much as possible into one carry-on bag. I will say the top of the bag is floppy when you unzip it, so you either have to lean it up against a wall or fold it down so that it stays out of the way when you've got it up on a luggage holder and you're trying to access things in your bag. But if you lay the bag on the floor or on a shelf or on a desk or a bed, the top isn't really an issue because you would then just open it up like a book and it stays out of the way. The 4 360-degree wheels are recessed to maximize internal capacity, and because of the wheelbase design, it stands pretty sturdy on its own with no tipping issues. I find that it rolls and turns and twirls pretty smoothly and easily, even on carpet, and I don't find it to be imbalanced or tippy. To better explain this, let's take a closer look at the wheelbase compared to some similar bags. As you can visually see here, the wheels on the Brics seem to be a little more forward on the bag. And if we measure the length between the front and the back wheels compared to the 3 comparable carry-ons, Brics has the deepest wheelbase. I really like the handles on this bag. They're made of soft leather and they're relatively flat, so that's another element that's going to help you stay within those size limits. There's no handle on the bottom, which would be a nice to have, but it's not a deal breaker. And lastly, the fabric is water resistant, so it's easy to wipe down and keep clean. As far as how much you can fit in this, I've used this to pack for a 10-day trip, a 2-week trip, and a 3-week trip, all with variable weather. And a 2-week trip is really no different than a 3 or 4-week trip, you just end up doing laundry a little bit more. And I do have a great video about how to do hotel laundry on your trip if you need more info about that. I'll leave links to a couple videos I have about packing this bag for my 2 and 3-week trips. And at 42 liters of capacity, this is one of the bags I've seen with the most interior space in its size class. I did mention a lightweight alternative, so if this one is still a little too heavy for you, I would recommend looking into the soft side cabin bag from the brand Antler, which weighs 4.1 pounds or 1.9 kilograms. It also measures 55 by 35 by 20 centimeters, making it compliant on 97% of airlines. And it's mostly because of that width. So this bag will get you pretty much anywhere around the world. However, it's definitely smaller overall compared to the Brics, and at 32 liters of capacity, it's not going to hold as much. So you do lose about 10 liters of space inside this bag. There's also not a whole lot to the telescopic handle. It's pretty thin and feels a little flimsy. This is definitely an area where they were able to shave some weight. But that being said, if you need something to get you from the airport to the taxi to the hotel with 4 wheels, you're not going to find much else out there that's lighter than this that will fit on so many airlines. Otherwise, the Brics gives you more room for some extra clothes, maybe an extra pair of shoes, and is still going to get you pretty much anywhere. I think this is the kind of carry-on that you can just decide on right now and stop thinking about it. It retails for $240, and at the time of publishing this video, some colors are on sale for $120. So they definitely do run sales. So if you want to check out this setup for yourself, I've left the link in the video description and the first comment, or you can scan this QR code. And right now, to my Canadian friends, I'm sorry, they've stopped temporarily shipping to Canada because of, you know, the T word. But I've spoken with the brand and they're hoping to bring it back at some point, so there's still hope. Sometimes it's on Amazon though. I bought my original navy one from Amazon, so if I can find links, I will put them in the description. So what do you guys think? Be honest. What do you think of this setup? Do you like it? Do you have a setup that's a lot better? If you could only pick one setup or carry-on package for every other trip for the rest of your life, what do you think it would be? Be honest. Let me know in the comments. I know a lot of you are also probably going to mention backpacks or ask me about backpacks. Again, I'm not really a backpack girly, but I'm definitely researching them and trying to find something that I think I would love. So also let me know your thoughts on that or anything else you want me to review. That's going to be all for this video. I also have a free email newsletter that I send out once or twice a month. I try to provide as much value as I can with travel tips and extra thoughts on gear and just other things that don't make it onto YouTube. So check out the links to sign up for that as well. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.